and there was a student in a wheelchair.
Yeah, right up the stairs.
Standing outside the elevator.
Yeah, it's like there's a line waiting for the elevator, and there was a student who was in a wheelchair that kind of needed a little bit of assistance.
Oh.
And maybe people were playing on their phones, or they just weren't paying attention, or we are living in a cold world. But did you help Edison in the end?
Yeah.
It was good you were there.
I don't know. This kind of pissed me off a little.
I would have been furious.
Like it's hard because Edison, now you are what, 25?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, comparing myself when I was 18 to 25, there's growth there, right? So a lot of these students are 22 or younger, so you have the advantage of age. But you know, is this a generation thing? I was kind of curious if Edison thinks that he's a little bit different.
But what if age only boosts your nature?
Yeah.
You could have been kind. You would have been kind in the first place. Yeah. So I'm not an optimist. For me, some people were just helpless.
Yeah, it's there's also a little bit of the, can you say, herd behavior? So if one person helps, then a lot of people start helping. It's kind of like you have to have one person do something.
Oh yeah, there's a term for that in psychology. Okay, if you were the only one on the spot, you would definitely help.
Okay.
But because you weren't, so you were kind of waiting and thinking that I can pass the buck without passing the buck because there's so many people out there.
I must say that one time too, it can also, that's interesting too, that I would be less likely to help if I wasn't the first one to be there. But if I am the first, it's my responsibility. I'll for sure help more people when my wife is not around, or maybe even my kid.
True.
One time I was with my wife on a trip. I think this is back before we were even married. And there was a really old black gentleman, and he needed his car to get jump started or something like that. And there's these scary stories about someone asking for a little favor like that and then ends up killing the person, right? But like if I was by myself 100%, I would help this guy. You know, I don't care if it's going to conk my engine out. All of a sudden I can't drive my car, something like that. But my wife is there, right?
The case is different when you have your own protege to protect.
What do you think, Edison? You want to weigh in on this? Looking like a rock star over there.
He is. Not looking like he is, and he always will be.
Dressing the part. You want to share about you helping people?
Sure, about myself helping people. Well, I don't think I have a lot of experience helping people, but I don't know, just little things. Maybe now I don't even remember, like I don't know, just like holding the doors. Maybe after today, I won't even remember this. So I don't know.
Holding the door as a man is kind of a little bit of a dangerous thing, because I don't even know if our microphones are working, by the way.
Yes, it's working perfectly.
Well, it's probably because I haven't put on my own headphones yet. Yeah. That's going to be the next step. Yeah.
It's probably, they're probably not going out, but sounds fine.
Yeah.
On my earpiece.
Okay. I have gum in my mouth, so I'm going to get rid of that.
Hey, it's okay. Because you also have a cowboy hat on your hat.
There's two problems, yes. The one is the gum, the second is the hat. Yeah.
But when they come together, perfect.
Yes. Now, Edison, do you want to wear the hat?
Wear the hat?
Sure.
Oh, that'll be, okay.
Maybe
give it a go.
I think Edison would be a little bit better with this hat.
Perfect. Okay, Edison, you can rock the hat.
I think he looks a lot better than
you can rock the hat all right.
I love Western style.
Yeah.
I almost want to give it
You
to
reminds me of those big rock stars back in the 90s.
Hey, you have a great class. 你们上课加油啊！对啊，要认真上课咯。Eating all pass. 第19
I think people are still having their lunch break.
Oh,
Luke.
yes. 但是他们吃午餐的时候在想，要好好的念书。They're going to be studying so hard as they're eating their lunch. Yes.
Or they're thinking it's already too late because the final is only 5 weeks away.
Is it now?
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was week 10 now.
This is week 10.
Okay, but that's 10.
So
11,
without
12,
counting this
13,
week,
14,
5 weeks away from now, and then by week 16, you have to wrap up everything.
I don't know if Edison realizes this, but as a teacher, this is where I'm starting to make mistakes. Now, what I mean is I have the social media practice class, and whenever I start the semester, everything is good, but there's always things that come later in the semester that throw you off your game. So yesterday I had to go to a high school to watch a teacher teach, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And the thing that throws off my Monday. And now all of a sudden I don't get things graded. So little things like that pop up in the semester, and then you slowly get behind.
Right.
And now all of a sudden I'm realizing, oh my God, like I have 3 different assignments in the social media class that need to be taught and graded and things like that before.
Right.
And now there's like, it's 16 weeks. So you don't have 18
And the
weeks.
semester is ending.
Yeah. This is what happens. Like I'm starting to have like things already be due. It says due on the Google Doc, but things no one looks at the Google Doc anymore. So it's funny. Like in the past, 1 or 2 lonely souls would say, "Hey, teacher, there was supposed to be something due this week."
I don't know. Is there any difference between my grade and I don't know the young generations? You know.
Yeah. Do you want to do a comparison of students from 2 years ago? Yeah, that graduated. And then what you're seeing now?
I wouldn't say there's a watershed. So, okay, you can see where was better, and then, okay, starting from a certain point, things go down. I would be saying that, okay, people are like wine. Students are like wine. They're different every year. Maybe. But I am under the impression that along with the advancement and development of the internet and everything digital, like, okay, it is very easy for you to retrieve a piece of language knowledge you need. And then people tend to be more reliable on technology. Instead of internalize what they're supposed to learn. So along with the development of technology, you actually see a gradual downfall of language capability among young students.
You would think it would be the opposite, yeah? Because now we have more tools than ever.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it is like, for example, learning Chinese now.
Yeah.
When I first started, I had to use a paper dictionary.
Yes.
And now it's like there's phone dictionaries. I can listen to podcasts in Chinese when I'm walking around. And then I could even work on, maybe there's even stuff with tones that could make sure your tones are correct.
And the population of fluent speakers are actually dwindling.
So is technology making us dumber? But now I must say that Edison has an interesting birth year, because if you are 25 now, then we're looking at 1999, maybe 1998.
Yeah.
And
something closer to us, something farther off, from them.
Which is getting strange, because I started teaching at世新for the first time when I was 30. Yeah. So actually, Edison, you're getting closer and closer to the age I first started. But the thing about you is, for the first 6-7 years of your life, really there was no smartphones.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And so now, if you have someone born in 2006, that's when smartphones are. So
oh, yes.
You're getting to the point where the
Edison, you're from a very particular generation.
Yeah, I think smartphone came out when I was
after elementary school.
No, middle school.
After,
when I started in middle school.
You were
that's
lucky.
When the first iPhone came out. Yeah.
And you hear that all the time from their generation. Is when I would do oral presentations, they always talk about their middle school years. And when I have students talk about the same topics, it's not like middle school started a whole new life for them. Because a lot of times I think your generation, they got phones.
When is their favorite period of time? Not for Edison's generation, for young people nowadays.
I mean, when I had Edison's classmates, a lot of times they would say, actually, I think I should get you another hat. I think maybe my wife would like it if I just gave you this hat. He took a painting from me. My wife didn't like a painting because it was from a day when there was an ex-girlfriend who was a girlfriend at that time when we got the painting. And she hated this painting. And so I never hung it up once we got together and moved in. And then I brought it to my office. I didn't hang it up ever. I was worried about like an earthquake or something.
Sometimes I share that little story with some of my companies.
This
when
is
they
really
visit
good.
my home.
Yeah, he walked away with a painting.
Edison, what company are you working for?
Company, I work in an instrument shop.
Musical
music shop.
instruments.
Yeah, musical.
Oh,
instruments.
that's very good. It's like working in your dreamland.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. How many years have you been working there? For how long?
Well, after graduate, even though I don't.
Yeah, after the
Graduate.
4th year, okay, and then you try to find time coming back to school, making up to the credits you need.
Yeah, maybe.
No, Edison. So Edison, I talked to Edison about this, and so you just didn't keep on going to school in your what would have been your 5th year.
Yeah, because I think my biggest purpose to go to campus is I want to find something I really want to do and maybe consider it as a career. I don't know. So
I have a theory on this. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Edison is making a choice that many artists have made. Brad Pitt is like this. Brad Pitt was 1 or 2 credits away from graduating. It's like, why wouldn't you graduate? It's done. Literally, he had like turn in a paper and he didn't do it. And I've seen at least a couple other actors and musicians do that. They get so close to finishing their degree and they don't do it because I think that deep down they go, if I do this, I'm telling myself that there's a backup plan. And maybe in a way, because you still want to do the musician thing, yeah?
yeah.
And
So
it's like
you have to sink the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like is it Sun Tzu Bing Fa, right? The idea you have to put your soldiers up against
the mountain.
because there's only forward.
So there's no way.
I don't know if that's if that describes you or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because I don't know. Like my parents, they told me, you're just few credits away from graduate. Why don't you want to finish? I was like, but I got something I really want to do, and I don't think go back to campus will
help.
I don't know. I think because I want to spend more time, develop my, I don't know, my band, because you got a lot of things to. If I go to campus, I don't know, they just don't fit.
I have to say, okay, I never have the 100% courage to do what I think would be right. Because, okay, what I do is almost always making a lot of efforts to secure as many safe routes as possible.
Yeah, I think that we're both different than you in this aspect, Edison. For example, if I could choose one career, for sure, 100%, I want to be a writer. They talk about flow.
And me a poet.
Yeah. So if you ask, don't ask my wife about this. I think she's heard me talk about it before. And I love hanging out with my son. I love hanging out with my wife. My wife is super smart. My kid is great. But in terms of flow, if you give me a whole day to write, I would do it. And maybe I wouldn't like writing if that was to be my full-time career, because once it becomes a job. But if I could write whatever I want, that would be the happiest existence.
And you'll be definitely enjoying yourself working in the flow.
Yeah. I mean, so if people ask me, what was your best day you've ever had? And I think one of my best days ever was I was in a quarantine hotel because I went back during COVID to attend my older sister's, not funeral, gosh, wedding. First wedding, then funeral.
Figuratively speaking, it could have been a funeral.
It's the death of something.
Yeah.
But I'm happy for my older sister and my new brother-in-law. But anyways, I decided one day that I wasn't going to work on anything from school, and I was just going to novel the whole day.
Oh, luxury.
And I was in a quarantine hotel. No one wants to be in a quarantine hotel. And I had 3
that
meals
was
served
luxury.
to me. I watched the sun come up in the morning, and I watched it go down, and it was magical. Yeah.
Having all the time to yourself.
But I will not live that life because I know that being a full-time writer, the chance of you actually being able to take care of yourself and not put your family into destitute poverty
Same here.
is so low. So I'm not willing to take that risk. So that's maybe that's our problem. We're not. We've chosen.
That's the reason why we never made artists.
Yeah. And when I grade papers and look at student stuff, I'm all the time like, I should just be writing. I shouldn't be looking at all this chat GPT bullcrap.
Yeah.
So maybe you are living the right
So
way.
lots of students starting use ChatGPT right
Way
now.
before you know it. Way before you know it.
Really?
Yeah. And okay, not only that, people start using ChatGPT for homework. Okay, they are using ChatGPT with very, very poor command of prompts.
Oh.
They have no idea that you should first ask ChatGPT to work a certain character and then do something onto something else. And they never put down the 3 limits: word count, format, and audience, or potential readership. That's the reason why their output is so recognizable.
Well, I mean, it's very obvious. I'll give you an example. So I think you remember from oral communication as a sophomore. I was going to get rid of My Neighbor Totoro, but then I watched it with my son this summer. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go for it one more time. And in your year, no one was talking about ChatGPT. And it existed back then. It just wasn't at the type of level it is now. And the thing is, what I'm mad about is the news ruined it. Because if no one reported about these AI writing systems, no one would be using them. Because they were there. They've been there for 10 plus years. Anyways, everyone's pretty much about 80% of my students, they're just all using ChatGPT. And so their speeches are all the same. My Neighbor Totoro, it's a story about bonding between 2 sisters and family and the magical aspects of nature. It's the same thing. No one is coming up with anything creative. And then the students, they don't think about audience. So I'm always telling them, hey, and I even showed them how to write a prompt. Write it in 3rd grade English. And they never do that. So the words are way too hard. It's written style, not spoken style.
Right. And they usually come up with the scripts that they themselves don't know how to read along.
Which is so dumb.
But what about, we come up with several versions first to show to the students, telling them this is what you get when you use ChatGPT in a very clumsy way. I'm showing you them. I'm showing you these examples so you can avoid them. If you hand in the same thing, you save me a lot of trouble. And you have to come back to the same class. Yeah. I don't really like to quote Machiavelli. But Machiavelli is like the Italian version of Han Fei. They believe in power and domination. They don't believe in love and relationship. According to Machiavelli, when he speaks to his king, because the king asks for some political advice, Machiavelli says, it is better to be feared than to be loved.
All right. 君王论.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, people love you for a reason, and reasons disappear. People can fear you for no reason, and fear stands. I'm sorry. Certainly, the podcast is turning darker and darker.
Yeah, but is that how we want to live our lives? Yeah. I can't do it. I can't be negative and trying to promote fear all the time. I don't want to live like that. I see the advantages of it for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like you want to be happy with yourself. You want to be.
This is what I usually do. I show them that, I always try to tell people I'm only human. I have my dark side. So I pull off my dark side first. And I hope that by avoiding my dark side, we can get to be friends.
Let's see. I was doing a classic thing. I wasn't really listening well enough to Alvin, but I was waiting for my line. And I really like the series is called Game of Thrones. It's a Song of Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
I love the character Ned Stark because that is me. And I realized that I would be such a bad leader because I'm always concerned about the wrong things in terms of making sure I stay alive. Yeah. But he's always trying to do the right thing, actually, in the end. Makes your life very difficult and sometimes ends it. Yeah.
That's actually what makes you a decent person.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Yeah.
Who knows?
Because you have a sense of justice. You want to tell right from wrong. There are certain principles you like to stick to.
I don't know. Edison, what do you think? Do you have principles? What are some of your principles?
I don't know, principles.
Or Edison, have you ever found it difficult getting along with the younger people in your workplace?
Younger people?
Yeah.
Well, in my workplace, most of them are older than me, so I'm the youngest.
Okay, good. You're in luck. Yeah.
I'm also curious if musicians are going to start getting worse.
Getting worse?
And what I mean by this is, okay, when I was young growing up, when you were practicing basketball, you just practiced.
Yeah, but
And
we
now-
didn't have any reference like YouTube.
Yeah. And nowadays I see people like out in the playground, they'll go out and do a couple plays and then they go look at their phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And so it's like if you are practicing your instrument and you're constantly doing little breaks to check out your phone, I just feel that's going to stunt your development. What do you think that this is going to hurt musicians? Or do you think it's like the people who have the passion?
I don't know. I think it's a way to promote. Yeah, because sometimes when you record yourself, when you're practicing, they kind of help me to see what's the difference between last time I play and this time play, and I can find the mistakes and I can fix them. So I don't know. Phones, I don't know. They kind of just work for me, but I don't really, They don't say
Hi,
surf on the
Andrew.
line. They don't say surf on the line anymore, right?
But Alison, okay, I
can-
believe
yeah, it's
most
kinda
people
strange.
don't use
Yeah.
their phones the way you use yours. They just stop and check on social media.
Because I
Or
don't.
okay, even before they practice enough, they make a short clips of that and put it on the post.
Because I don't make TikToks or I don't know YouTube reels.
But back to your generations or even older, okay, people will be thinking about their living audience. You have to practice over and over again before you dare to pull off something on stage.
Yeah, because I think it's all about live performance.
Yes, but right now you don't know me, I don't know you. Okay, I pull on some crap and then I film it, I put it on post, okay, for someone far away, the so-called fans. They buy everything. I think that's the difference. That's a difference.
Because I think live performance always give you that kind of energy, and the people around there just vibing.
Yes.
And that's experience you will never get when you practice it.
Sure, and that's for real
show
musicians.
When you go to a live show, do you feel like most of the audience is really connecting with you, or do you think like half of them are looking at their phones? Or
Well, it depends.
That's another problem. I could hate that. I could hate that very much.
Well, I think when the time's right, sometimes people will take out the phone and record. Record Instagram for
Try to bootleg your music.
But sometimes I think people still put down their phones and really pay attention to listen to your music. So yeah.
interesting, because I know that in a lot of different, I think a lot of comedians in the United States, they have rules that you want to come to my show,
Oh.
You can't have your cell phone out.
And
Oh,
also
like your
in
class.
UK.
Like your class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see that, right? Because first off, it does destroy the moment, and then people take things out of context, right?
Wait, going back to the part, okay, like your class, did you tell students to leave their phone behind before they go into your class?
I mean, you can't do that.
So what did you do?
So nowadays, I only have
Phones off the table.
I used to really try to control the cell phone use, and I was just so exhausted. And I'll give you one example. It was a long time ago. It was actually in the that's not now no longer there. There was this one student that just loved his cell phone. He was actually a year older than you. And we'll just say his name. It was Rain. Anyways, we were having. I used to not. At first, I used to not tell anyone to put away their phones, and I would just try to look. And there was one student. I said, "Hey, Kristen, can you stop scrolling your phone?" And she was actually looking something up. But almost every single time you see someone on their phone, it's not for an educational purpose. And anyways, I told him to put away his phone because it was speech time. So my rule is during student speeches, you don't look at your phone. Because if you want to speak, you want people to look at you.
Yes.
And you need to be a good audience. And people don't understand that. Like they say, oh, when I'm done with my speech, I can go home. Like, you can't go home. Like, this is a reciprocal thing, right? If you want people to listen to you, you have to listen to other people. This is not.
Sure.
This is not I talk and never listen to anybody. What kind of world is this going to be? Anyways, I told him to put away his phone. I watched him put it into his bag, zip it up, and I made sure he was zipping up and everything. I turned around to the whiteboard, wrote one word, turned around, and he was playing on his phone again. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. That's 10, 15 seconds. He went from his phone in his bag to it's open again.
He couldn't help it. I mean, he was an addict.
I mean, that is an addiction level that is just insane, you know? And so my rule with cell phones, pretty much now, even during movies, when we're watching class, I used to say, hey, put your phones away. But now I just settled on one thing. When there's presentations, no cell phones.
But have you ever noticed that, okay, for those fubbers, okay, the snob phone users, what are their chances to pass your class?
I mean, pretty high.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if I was to really like test people the way they do in the West, 80% of my students would fail.
So, okay, they have, okay, a very high percentage. Okay, they have very big opportunities to fail. Just let them. I never said anything. I know by the end they will fail. And there's nothing they can do to make bigger contribution to other students who are willing to make efforts.
But like the percentage of students who are really focused and taking notes.
Yes.
I mean, so
they need extra money paid by those students' parents for them to move on their exchange programs. Let them.
Yeah.
Let them. I just let them. I guess you can't because you are a decent teacher.
I mean,
which I am not.
So when I was a student, the idea was students read the material, we come to class, we discuss it, and then I either test you through papers or tests, right? No one's reading the material. Even the best students are like not really going through the stuff.
Oh, really?
I mean, do you think even half? So there's studies in the United States that show that maybe 20% of students are actually reading what they're supposed to read.
Okay.
This is the United States, which just does better about reading stuff than Taiwanese students. And I mean, like, I can't hold, I can't reproduce the United States style in Taiwan, especially nowadays. Yeah.
No.
But I mean, like, I have test scopes that tell students what test is going to have. Literally, I'm giving them answers in the test scope, and I still have students like barely passing.
And I don't even think that's a US style or UK style or Europe style. It's just here, different from everywhere else in the world. Like, okay, listen up for what the exchange students are gonna say. They feel surprised and shocked when they're here, looking at students using their phone in class.
Yeah, the Taiwanese, I think it's in Asia in general. I don't know.
No, you can't do this in China. You can't do this in Japan or Korea. in some Korean universities, they actually has a base sending out signals to block the internet service.
I mean, it'd be amazing if they could do that here, because you would start to see students connect more. Because all right, so if you have a class, I was here before smartphones really took off, because the first time I came was 2009. And so students, their phones really weren't that great back then. So students would sleep in class, just like you see now. Students would be late. But
sleeping in class is actually, they're making up to their loss of sleep is actually healthy.
I guess. But the thing is like, there's just so much evidence that cell phones are just bad for everything. So even if you see your cell phone, like it's right here, right? When you see it, it distracts you. And then if it lights up, it might distract Edison. It's probably too far away for you to see it, right? And then because I'm looking at my phone, I'm less engaged. I'm less likely to ask questions.
Sure.
Like if students ask questions, the teacher ends up giving them answers for the test, right? And then there's that connection that you all have, then you learn more together. But so like cell phones, they lower teacher motivation to prepare good lessons. Students aren't learning that much. They're not doing any type of dialogue with the teachers. Yeah. I mean, and even cell phones are shown to hurt our memory, just in general, right? We don't remember as well as we used to.
True.
Yeah, I mean, and then also too, it's like constantly. So if we watch a movie, I make the lights dark, and cell phone lights are popping up, and it's distracting people.
That's
right?
very discouraging.
So I mean, it's very difficult to get people to focus, and I feel bad for the other students, because when I sit in class, sometimes during like speech weeks, so this one class I'm helping with, Ling Daoming and Chen Lao Shi, I sit in the back sometimes, and I see students like playing on their phones, and it distracts me, and I'm pretty disciplined, and so I don't look at my phone in class or anything like that. But
True.
It's so it's like we're all distracting each other.
Yeah. Edison, well, what about you? If you have to work with younger people in Luke's in Luke's class,
I don't know.
What do you feel?
I think using cell phone is acceptable, because I think the major problem is
no, I mean their attitude, not their using of cell phone.
Using the cell phones, I think.
Does that ever turn you off? Like the difference between you and younger people?
I don't really.
How do you cope with that in class?
I don't really pay attention when people using their cell phones.
A true artist.
I don't care. I think the major problem is our students not participate with the class.
True. I don't understand why.
I don't know, because sometimes when a teacher asks you a problem about the class, like maybe we have creative writing.
Yes.
And how do you feel about I don't know, how do you feel about our school's building and blah 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 blah. And when you maybe you ask a guy, and he said, how do you feel about the building? I was like, and he's gonna be like, what? I don't really pay attention. Can you say that again?
Yeah.
Well, that's exhausting. I don't even know what to call that. There's this like weird thing. You have to get people's attention 2 or 3 times. It's like a lag. I don't know.
So what's actually going on there? I really don't know.
Could you call it cell phone drain? You feel like when people. So yesterday I went to a high school, and the teacher, the first half of the 1-hour class, no cell phones, and you see a lot. People are listening together. They're focused. There's that community type of environment. They're connecting as a group. And then once they start using their phones for the second half of class, the teacher has to say, hey, everybody, come on, focus. Over here, you got to do this. And it's just total different ballgame.
Because I think dropping a class is like dropping a show. So for teacher, you have to, really attract the students, and the students you have to.
Kev, you really have to join us sometime. Let's book your next week.
Who?
Kevin, back there.
I've seen Kevin many times, but I've never actually.
Let's book Kevin for this. Kevin, you're booked for this upcoming Tuesday.
That's And I'll have to formally apologize.
You'll be hearing words from Hannah. We'll stay in touch.
I'm always awkward with Kevin. I've actually never had a conversation with him. And
I never know that Kevin is actually in our club
oh, really?
of parenting.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either. He was born with a baby face. Yeah. He's actually dad of 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have a...
Both made it up to YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to check out the kids.
Sensation.
Bye-bye.
YouTube sensation. Bye-bye.
How old are his children?
Elementary school.
Okay.
Yeah. A pair.
I have this problem. Okay. I need to admit it. So when I've gone places, in the United States, I'm white, right? So I'm not in type of...
You're white everywhere.
Yeah. But when you're white in the United States, you're not special, right? But when you're white in Taiwan, you stick out. Yeah. And
What do you mean?
Okay, so if I walk into a Family Mart, you're like, oh, white one.
But I do believe that, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, I think we have more Caucasians than African.
Oh, for sure.
American.
For sure.
So okay, you don't stand out. If you're white in Taiwan, you don't stand out as a foreigner.
It depends where you're at. Too.
Okay, cool.
Taipei, you're not special. But, I mean, there's definitely people who look. Like, oh, wow, you look different.
Oh, okay.
And then you get different interactions and things like that a Taiwanese wouldn't get. But anyways, I've had Taiwanese friends say, oh, 那边有外国人啊, 你朋友. Like, I don't know this person. It's kind of there's this one Key and Peele sketch. It's black people communicating to each other without talking, right? And so I think like in the United States, black people tend to stick together, right? And so you might see them gravitate towards each other. And you see the same thing in Taiwan with white people, right? Because you probably speak the same language. You have similar backgrounds, things like that. And I kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit uppity, but I've never wanted to be like, you know, only hanging out with white people. And
I know.
Like I wanted to be a part of the culture, but in some ways I kind of, you know, I haven't really ever gone and just talked with Kevin, but also it's something.
Oh, it's like that. 中道组长.
But it's also strange. So, for example, maybe there's Italians, yeah, and we'll probably talk to each other in English. But I always feel like I should talk to them in Chinese because I don't want to assume what their language is.
True.
Like I don't have this problem in the United States because.
But you do know that Kev is British.
Yes.
Yeah, by speaking English to him, you'll probably end up concluding, American people don't really speak English.
But, but he could be French, or you know, it's hard to say.
True.
He does look British, but he could be somewhere.
Oh no. Okay, I'm sure he's a Brit. Yeah.
But I mean, he.
Oh, you mean they from the family tree?
If I wasn't to know, right, you never know. For example, there was one time I went to Italy and there was a guy. He had, I think, like 100% British blood, but he couldn't really speak any English because he was born and raised in Italy.
Oh.
And it was really funny because when I was 18, we were all in Italy. There was three Americans, and then almost all the Italians in that group, because there was an Italian exchange student who came over in the United States and stayed for a year in my high school, and he invited me and two friends and me to go back. And we always kept on gravitating. We always would look at the white guy. You know, when I say white, the more pasty.
I don't know, like some Asian students, when they go outside, they just hang out with Asians. So I don't know, maybe it's a common problem. I think the solution is you need to step out your comfort zone.
Okay, it's a more and more general as a concept among Taiwanese students. It's safer to hang out with Caucasians. Because if you want to hang out with the Asians, you never know where they're from. If they're from the wrong place or the right place, you'll be part of them.
Oh boy, sounds like cross-strait stuff.
Yeah, you'll have a very miserable life.
No, but I think that there's a lot of truth to that in terms of, okay, my wife, a lot of her friends have studied abroad. And we went to Chicago, we went to New York, and there was like the Taiwanese group.
Oh,
and so they kind of stick together. And there is something special about you're with your own people, you know.
Ghetto.
If I go to the United States, if I go to another country and there's Americans there is something special about that connection. But I never wanted to be a person in Taiwan where it's like, oh, all my friends are from the United States.
Yeah.
But there's actually some negative parts about that. So, for example, when I first started playing soccer in Taiwan, from the very get-going, I was like, hey, I am going to be on Taiwanese teams.
Sure.
And it's kind of difficult because you never really fit in, right? So there's something lonely about trying to fit in where you don't really fit. And but I mean,
But things were a bit different, were very different after you get the hang of the language.
Yeah, but it's really hard to really 100% fit in. Like Edison, I think Edison, your English is probably good enough where you could probably go to another country and you'd be able to fit in. But
I'll be okay.
I mean, so my Chinese level is maybe 3rd or 4th grade level, and so
way better than that.
But
you're a graduate from 师大翻译所.
It's just
please don't shame your alma mater that way.
You just never 100% feel like you're part of the group. You always feel, I don't know, maybe it's a Taiwanese thing too. If you're not Taiwanese, it's basically impossible to be Taiwanese.
What do you mean by that? That you can go down south and speaking Taiwanese, getting the recognition from the local people, or what is the specific thing you have in mind?
Okay. So when I was on a soccer team, it was kind of like you're part of the foreign group, and then
you started with the hardest. Rugby, soccer team. Yeah. Okay, imagine you're a foreigner. You want to join a British rugby team.
Yeah.
You started with the hardest.
Well, I mean, okay, so even if I go down south, when people don't know me, the first thing they're going to talk to me, they're probably going to talk in English. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
hi, Lucian.
And maybe I don't know enough, but if we start trying to talk about politics, maybe it's really hard to know things at a deep level.
You'll be drawing near the distance between you and other people.
Okay, even Ling Daoming, who literally he's Taiwanese.
Sure.
People will say, 这个老外很厉害啊，他是台湾人，然后但是这个老外。
the label doesn't go away.
Yeah, 老外加入军队，他成为就是英勇的军人。It's even for him, he's still getting talked to all the time as if he's not Taiwanese. And to me, he is
more Taiwanese than Taiwanese.
He's made the ultimate sacrifice. So there's and maybe people say that happens too, like for Asians who are in the United States. That hey, I always feel like a second-class citizen. I don't feel. So
by the way, I've never spoken to Lin Daoming 老师 in English in order to show my respect.
That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
So there was a study that showed that Asians, so straight up Asian American, born in the United States, grown up there, listeners of this person would say, hey, like I had a little hard time understanding this person's English. And so that means is that our bias. So a lot of times Asians, you see an Asian in the United States, I think there's an assumption that person is from abroad. It's actually not true. There's something like 7% of what's the best way to say? Okay, if you were to look at the population numbers, I think Asians are around like 5%. I'm sorry, Chinese Americans are around 5% of the population, I think by now. Yeah, Asians are like something like
that's high.
But anyways, if you do just a statistical basis, if you run into a Chinese-looking person in the United States, it's more likely that they're native-born, that they're 100%, they have American citizenship, than they're a visitor from abroad. I did a paper on this, but we tend to see them as from another country.
Yes.
Right. So I think the same thing happens for white people in Taiwan, and maybe that will change eventually. Like I think Asian Americans are starting to become more and more part of the culture, and it just takes time. Every country goes through it. The United States is a little faster because we've had more immigration earlier on.
And also on YouTube, okay, obviously we're having more and more African Taiwanese. They were born here, they were educated here, they speak the language, they're most familiar with the Taiwanese stuff than anywhere else, than anything else. But still, they're treated as foreigners. And people, okay, this is the most ridiculous part. And people expect them to speak English like flawlessly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they can. Their English is still learned. Yeah.
Maybe after 20th centuries with planes and boats, people are moving around the world. So, maybe over 100 or 200 years, people moved to America. But for Taiwan, people move here maybe over the past 50 years. So we're still learning. So not like Americans, they're people from everywhere. So I don't know. People are getting used to, I think.
But I'm not sure. Okay, Edison, what do you mean by getting used to?
Getting used to, there's
because I believe
people.
some kind of segregation is still there going on in the States.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they can get used to be aware of the fact that, okay, there are foreigners or foreign-looking people among us.
Yeah.
But the discrimination is still around. Am I right?
I mean, you see that like Asian hate, you know.
Oh.
So during COVID, there was Asian people getting attacked.
Yeah.
And it's like, so we definitely still see race, right?
Yeah.
We weren't throwing random rocks at white people and saying like, you started COVID.
Right. True.
So there's still labels on people.
True. But okay, speaking of which, what is the worst racism or racism-related phenomena that you two see in Taiwan, if there's any?
You want to take this, Edison?
I'm gonna take there's one time I was at the bar outside. There's a guy, probably 30 years more.
Asian or Caucasian?
Caucasian.
Yeah.
He's probably from US, I think. Yeah. And I was sitting there, talking to my friends and drinking, and he came right after me. I was like, say something crazy shit. I was like, bro, you good?
Was he drunk?
Why are you trying to say things like that?
Was he drunk?
Oh, I think he's drunk.
Oh.
And I was like, at first I was like, well, he's drunk, so not a big of deal. So I was thinking I might let it pass, but I think he just get more and more intense. Try to push me or. So I was like, I was getting really mad, and I fought in behind the bar, and the bartender after that called the police.
Oh, that was
him
very
away.
intense then.
Yeah, that was very intense. I never thought I would fight someone at the bar in Taiwan. This is a thing I would never expect.
True. Okay, because a bar fight or brawls, they're not common here. You basically go to the bar and to relax. Yeah, not to play hero. But yeah. But okay, I'm surprised because that if this happened on the American soil, on the white dominating soil, that's understandable. But now, like if you're drunk enough, even when you find yourself in Taiwan, you can do that. Kind of took me by surprise.
There's a lot of problems. I mean, first off, like, let's be honest. Taiwan is not the long-term location of American elite. So a long-term location of Taiwanese elite, United States for sure. I mean, there's a Wikipedia page for Taiwanese Americans. It is long. There's no Wikipedia page for famous Americans in Taiwan. I'm not saying that there's not some amazing people from my country here. But in general, I mean, so really does Taiwan have a career that's attractive to Americans? I would say most Americans are going to want to stay in the United States. So first off, you're living in a country where the main language is Mandarin.
Yep.
So that's a challenge in itself, right?
Yeah, very.
And so the laws, things like that, are going to be in Chinese. So it's going to add difficulty there. Your favorite foods, things like that, are not going to be as easy to get. There's relocation, all these like little hidden costs to see people that you love back in your home country. It's going to cost money to get on planes, things like that. So really, also too, like the best paying jobs are a lot of times are like bushiban. Cram schools, it's crazy. There's cram school teachers making 80, 90,000. They're making more money than I do a month, right? So we're not rewarding the elite from the United States to come over. And I'm not saying there's great cram school teachers, and I think cram school teachers are very important. But also, like, you have to be careful, because then you're getting stuck in a career.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very grateful, because I could do different things with my background now.
Yeah.
So I'm making a little bit of a financial sacrifice in order to try to hopefully set myself up better for the future. And also, this is kind of like, long term. But I mean, so if you're doing this cram school teaching for 20, 30 years, and if you don't really like,
you get sucked into it.
You get stuck, right? You're going to grow old in Taiwan. And then if you want to go back, what are you doing in the United States? You haven't developed any skills that are going to be attractive to that marketplace. You're just an older worker.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then, there is certain things that's annoying as a foreigner that, I've had a lot of different job opportunities that I just couldn't take because I wasn't Taiwanese. I mean, so there's limitations put on you, right? But yeah, I mean, it's a mistake to believe that there's not racist incidences that like white people or people from other countries do to. And there's a sense of, they say like there's the sense of superiority from white people. Like, I'm better than these people. And maybe when I talk with my wife, I complain about Taiwan and she doesn't like it, but we complain about where we live. And sometimes I get mad because like I know I spent a lot of money on learning Chinese, so it's a little bit annoying that everyone's trying to learn Chinese. It's like, I didn't come here to be your free English teacher. But also too, it's like it's very hard to move abroad. So I mean, there's issues with that. We don't support foreigners learning Chinese. We don't reward them with anything extra.
No.
You get 1 year. So if I was to be a regular employee, to get 永久居留证, to get a APRC, to full permanent residency, it takes 4 years if you've graduated from a Taiwanese university or of like, I think that's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but there's a lot of students that like are learning English. They're like all English programs that they're from other countries.
So did you have that already sometime after you graduated from Shidang?
It didn't help me because I originally used my married status to get ARCs, and I couldn't switch it over, and I wanted to, and so. Hey,
it's okay.
It's okay.
That's part of being Taiwanese.
It's a little frustrating.
Making the best of nepotism.
I was a little frustrated because I did want to get my APRC through work, because I'm actually qualified now through work.
Sure.
I think the biggest problem is I needed to get a visa from you guys at Shising or something. It's really complex, and it's frustrating because I have everything that needs to be shown. But because of different rules, things like that, like I had to keep on going through the marriage route. And I get worried because in the past, Taiwan was not friendly to non-Taiwanese families.
No, it wasn't.
So in the past, like you get divorced and you're out of the country in a month. And what do I do if I have a kid? Things like that. I think they've actually improved the system a lot. And I've been in Taiwan when they used to basically like it was you graduate out in 2 weeks, And so.
Oh, really?
And now it's like you get a year. And
that's a lot.
And
that's a lot friendlier.
There used to be no APRC. So Ling Daoming, for example, became Taiwanese partly because it's like, hey, if I want to stay here, I better become Taiwanese because I don't want to keep on getting an ARC every single year. I mean, it even used to be in the past. I think they changed it in the 80s. I think people born around 1984, 1985, if you had a non-Taiwanese father and a Taiwanese mother, you were considered not Taiwanese.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I met this one person. He was a Huinshir. Yeah, he was mixed race biracial, and he wasn't Taiwanese. But it's like your mom was Taiwan. You were born here.
Yeah. If your mom, one of your parents is Taiwanese, you have Taiwanese.
No. Yeah, but like in the 1980s.
Oh, right.
So I think it kind of changed right when martial law.
That was crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, right there, that law to me is showing me. First off, it's really sexist. And second off, it's kind of trying to benefit men, because to me, it's like scaring women away from marrying, right? Because you want you don't want your kid not to have Taiwanese citizenship. That's terrible. So, I mean, you're breaking up families if you do that. But, I mean, that's what I know about the law.
I don't know what's the direct result, but that was crazy. Yeah.
So we're improving as a society, you know. And I'm not saying that the United States didn't have anything racist. So, for example, one of the most famous acts of racism in the United States was the Chinese Exclusion Act. And that was like...
and how did that work?
Late 1800s to all the way up to World War II. Oh. And it was because, you know, in the past, the United States immigration system, when we started getting immigrants, it was always favored towards Europeans. And now it's no longer like that. The system has been changed. And the United States still has a real big issue with their immigration system. But basically, like, if you wanted to come over and you're from Europe, it's fine. But I think with Asians, like, there was the Chinese Exclusion Act. I think that there was a lot of Chinese during the Qing Dynasty moving all over the world. Yeah. They had them in New Zealand too and things like that. And I think what they did is they basically made it, I think it was in 1876 they started it. And there's the idea that Chinese will lower wages. But I think the big thing is they just were afraid of outsiders, especially someone so different. Yeah. I mean, they weren't just Europeans. And like Europeans would kind of become part of the society. They're seen as Asians not joining us. I don't know what there's different racist ideologies behind all this. But anyways, so basically you couldn't become American if you were Chinese until after World War II. And so that basically stopped people from having families and...
and if you were Japanese, you had to wait longer, even longer. Because after, I think wasn't even after, sometime before World War II, okay, they start setting up this concentration camp for Japanese people in the States. Like that.
Which is really sad because, you know, of course, in the Japanese community, and you get this, for example, every once in a while, China is able to get certain Chinese Americans to become spies for them and things like that. Yeah. Right? But most of them are loyal to the United States. Just
very much so.
Most of the Japanese were going to be loyal to the United States, and you treated them like they were foreigners, and they lost.
But people sent away, people sent into the concentration camps. It wasn't only military or military related. As long as you're, I think it was something related to this one drop principle. If you have a drop of Japanese blood, you go into the concentration camp, just in case you'll be working on the Japanese side against the U.S. government.
So I was going to finish up with the Chinese Exclusion Act. The biggest issue with it is, let's say I am Chinese and I'm moving abroad, or I'm moving to the United States to work. And a lot of times, like, they would do seasonal work. So they would come work during a certain season of the year and then go back, right? And try to take money back, things like that for their families. I could never bring my wife over, right? Because the Chinese... True. So it's like, if you had citizenship before the Chinese Exclusion Act, you're okay. But then, you know, it made it impossible to bring your family.
You can work here, but you can't settle down here.
And then eventually it was just really hard to go and work there. Yeah.
I didn't even know that piece of history. Thanks for telling us.
And it went on longer than it should have been.
You did show us a documentary about this.
Yeah, I can't remember what documentary. I would show it on Wikipedia and stuff like that. I just always paid attention.
Chinese worker work at the U.S. and they have to go back to China, you know, after the season. I remember that. You know, at 传播大楼.
That was very educational. Thank you for doing this to世新people.
I always try to. First off, Americans don't know their own history very well, and I am one of them. But I do think it's important for us to.
But you're very knowledgeable about things around you.
Well, I mean, also because I think it affects people. And I also think that people should understand the Chinese Exclusion Act is still kind of affecting us nowadays. So, for example, if you go to a Chinatown, especially in the past, they tended to be Cantonese.
Yes, true.
And there's a reason why. I mean, it's funny, like a small area, so many people immigrated out of. And it's actually, that Canton area is quite poor. Yeah. But, you know, I think it kind of shows you. So, for example, someone's a Mandarin speaker in the United States. Yeah. It's almost always because they were a late comer. So you would know that they came after the 60s or 70s.
Yes.
And if they have a Cantonese background, you know they're probably a little bit more, right, long term.
And you can also tell the difference by see by focus on the way they spell their family names. Yeah. If they use the Southern spelling system, Cantonese descendants. Yeah. Northern system, the Mandarin speaking descendants, the Northern descendants. Yeah.
You can even see that in things like with the language in the United States. So we've borrowed a lot of Chinese terms. So things like chap chap.
Yeah.
That's just quite. Yeah. But I think it actually comes from Cantonese, or things like ketchup.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's Cantonese.
I didn't know that.
So that's another fun thing is words of Chinese origin. And a lot of times they actually take it, they combine it. Sometimes it's actually Japanese. It's like a weird Japanese or
something like an Asian version of Creole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see there are pretty much all the words from Mandarin are a little bit later on. So things like feng shui, which you could call
feng shui is very late. Okay.
I had a white ex-girlfriend, and she knew about feng shui.
Yeah.
And so there are certain words that have made the Chinese Mandarin words that have made their way into the language, but in terms of like the oldest words, tend to usually have a Cantonese background.
Yes, like kowtow.
Yeah.
Or sometimes.
You say ketou, in Chinese,
But sometimes you can even have it from the Fujian dialect or something similar to Taiwanese, like kamshou. Kamshou for thanks. Yeah, that's from Southern.
And then there's also certain concept words. So 好久不见, is a long time.
Oh, yeah, direct translation.
Which, and then another one is brainwash.
Oh, yeah, jackal.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I have to look that up.
For zogo. Okay. But the latest Chinese translation is walking dog. Direct translation. Yeah.
So one thing is funny though is when I first came to Taiwan, I would talk to people using long time no see as a joke, and they didn't think it was funny. So long time no see is a joke in English. Like you see somebody, and then an hour later you see them again. You go, hey, long time no see.
Yeah, it's almost 16 seconds.
Yeah, and then I'd come and I'd see someone, and I'd see them 30 minutes later. I go, oh, 好久不见. They're like. So
maybe use it on humorous people.
No, I
they
don't.
Get it.
Maybe only Alvin would understand it. Would you laugh at that or no?
I don't know. Maybe that's too old for me.
I always respond, if I have this from my friends, I always respond with, yes, it's almost 3 minutes. Imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a different thing with humor. Yeah. All right, Edison, you haven't talked as much because I've stolen a lot of the spotlight. You want to talk about your band at all?
My band?
You have a band going on without telling us.
I do have a band, going on. Well, I can talk about this little band. We play, in psychedelic blues, psychedelic rock, that kind of style. And
do you wear a Jimi Hendrix acid band around your head?
Well,
Just
sometimes.
Hopefully you don't put the acid inside.
No. But
I'm so glad sometimes that we're speaking in English. Otherwise, get busted.
I don't even know how to say acid in Chinese, anyways. Yellow
acid.
I don't think I know the exact translation, and I don't think we should share it with people in Mandarin.
Some words don't deserve to be looked up.
No, yeah. Or I don't. There are some words that I only know in English, like Molly. Like a what else? What else? What? No. There's something else also at the tip of my tongue. But after I say Molly, it's math. Math I don't know. Molly I don't know. Quick fix I don't know. Angel dust I think I know. But there are things that only works in English for me.
I'm really glad that meth hasn't gotten its way into Taiwan that I know of. Yeah. Because
probably we're so far away from the core vortex.
Yeah, being an island helps, And then also too, I think Taiwan's authorities are pretty strict against drugs.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if marijuana is that necessary, but meth is a real. Oh,
I'm really curious
It
when
takes-
we're gonna have recreational Mary Jane.
I don't think ever. Yeah, but
No?
there were marijuana cigarettes, which I've heard about. I want to know about this. Okay, let's talk about your band.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we're founding, on blues, B.B. King, Freddie King, Stevie Ray Vaughan,
The legends.
what's more? I don't know. I've been writing new songs lately, and I also want to drop a show, before this year ending. So I've been practicing, prepare few songs, maybe 10 songs for the show. Yeah.
Are you following the trend? Okay, trying to work on your publicity on social media.
Publicity? Nah, not really.
It's a good thing to know, though. It's a good thing to
not
know.
really. I haven't put a lot of work on that.
Okay.
So maybe I will just.
But on the other hand, if you want to be seen, if you want to be heard, okay, probably it's a necessary evil.
Or maybe word of mouth is still a thing. I think word of mouth is powerful.
Yeah,
I think if you're really talented, word of mouth can still work.
Yeah, I think my bandmates will take over, all the promotion stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. I just need to focus on, creative something interesting.
Edison's an old soul. He likes to listen to records. You have a record player, don't you?
Yeah, I have a.
Are we
vinyl
talking
record
about
player.
vinyl?
Yeah.
You are old school. You are old school. Okay. But I still believe old school is the best school. Yeah. But I can't afford that. I can only stick to my CDs and my CD players. Vinyl is for me. Vinyl is a luxury.
Really? Because I think they're putting out, some really cheap vinyl records. The players, just maybe.
You have to pay through your nose for a decent vinyl player.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're talking about some street MP3 players, we're talking about 100 or 200 kwai.
Yeah, but maybe around $500, US dollars, you can get a really good vinyl player.
Oh, really?
Really,
$500
$500
US.
US.
Okay. You want
Around
15,000.
Yeah, but if I don't have the year for that, be a waste of money.
I'll share a little story. Because I like to write, I've thought about getting a typewriter. Yeah, and I looked into it.
Amazing! I was actually thinking about the same thing, but please continue.
But that would be such a poor choice. First off, because there's a lot of things with the ribbons and fixing things. And to tell you the truth, I am a heavy editor. And so I think when I write, I look at it and the next day I'm changing it. And so I think if I was the type of writer that I would just put everything out there and just do a real bad first draft, I could use a typewriter. But I think it'd be such a waste of time. But it'd be so beautiful to just sit there and you don't have anything. So some writers, they turn off the internet.
Yes.
Right, as a way to focus, right? But I thought it'd be so beautiful just to look at paper. I could feel like Hemingway. But I'm totally not made for that. Okay, so anyways, your band, yeah?
Yeah, my band. So basically, I don't know.
Where can we get to listen to your music?
Oh, I haven't, put it on social media or Spotify or SoundCloud.
But when you play, it's mostly Taipei or outside Taipei?
Mostly Taipei.
Okay.
Bars, live house, some place like that. And recently, I don't know, where do we start?
I can tell you where we start. One time, I was coming here to do work because it was the 面试. It was in like May. This is the story when you were walking around. Yeah. So it was like midnight, and I left my house because my kid was born by that time.
Midnight.
Yeah, and I was coming to school, and I was gonna finish looking at all the applications because they would give you these applications, and there'd be up to 130 pages. I'm like, I haven't finished yet. I had to do them at school, and so I'm on the road, and no, I'm on the Heti. I'm on the river bike path, and I see, is that Edison? Is that Edison with his shirt off walking?
I was just taking a walk, you know.
So if you're looking to see Edison, midnight on the river side is always a good location. Yeah.
2 ships at sea. The night over. Oh my God.
That was my first and last time seeing Edison on the riverside. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, keep on going.
Anyway,
Did that inspire you?
My band.
Edison, please promise us, okay, once you have your first song recorded, let us know.
Well, I got lots of songs recorded, but I just haven't.
And when you are willing to share them, let us know.
Yeah.
How many songs are gonna make it? You know, I've heard of like artists, so rappers, for example.
Yeah.
You know, they might have 30 songs, and then they take 10 or 12.
Yes.
A lot of them get the axe, and sometimes some of the stuff that is like the underground things that they never really officially released are awesome.
True.
How many are gonna go on the album? How many are not? Do you have a percentage?
Well, I got maybe 8 songs right now.
I think 8 is a good number.
It's like a
Yeah.
Is that EP?
Yeah, I can already put an album.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But nowadays, okay, I've heard that singles have been popular for quite some time. So, yeah.
I don't know. I think like as a serious musician though, you have to be careful. You don't want to be like a, you know, one
K-pop singer.
a one song wonder. You know.
Yeah.
One hit wonder.
Yeah, one hit wonder. That's the right term. Thank you for teaching me.
What was the term?
One hit wonder.
One hit. Okay. One hit wonder.
That's a
very demeaning.
That's a very famous phrase for you talk about athletes like that. Like Jeremy Ling, some people have called a one-hit wonder, because when he was in New York, he was like playing at all-star. And I would not say he was a one-hit wonder because he lasted in the league for like almost 10 years. And
yes, I really wonder what happened.
Well, he just got older, and there's some bad luck, some injuries. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he had a longer NBA career than most people, so I think he should be very proud of all that he accomplished. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So you have 8 songs, so you're not a one-hit wonder.
No, and he won't be.
Actually, there's artists that produce a lot of stuff. It's funny. Like it's fun to see artists that are no longer popular. They're still releasing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Are we talking about?
I mean, for example, let's say like a rapper such as T-Pain. You know, no one listens to T-Pain anymore, but he does that crazy wow voice with the was it auto something? I can't remember what it's called.
Auto-tune?
Yeah, auto-tune. Yeah. But like he's any musician that was popular 20 years ago is often still trying to come out with stuff.
Because he's really big around the early 2000. He's really big.
Early 2000. Oh, mine goes way back.
Yeah, probably like 2015. That kind of auto-tune thing went on.
I thought you were talking about LLC Cool J.
Oh.
That was even way back.
Well, he did something. He became a Republican.
Yeah.
You had to be careful when you become a black Republican. Watch out, you know.
Yeah, true.
That's dangerous territory. Yeah, the Republicans love you, but some in your community might not support that.
True.
But anyways, so you have 8, and then
I can talk about my view of the show. Yeah. I want the show to be, really energy, like shirts off. I don't know, people getting drunk, and don't have to be a really big place. Maybe I don't know, just a little bar could do it. I don't know, cause I really like the 60s, 70s, the vibe from the show, you know, like take Woodstock for example. I always overwatch, you know, the footage about the Woodstock, because I don't know. I think people are more look alike.
I think that's kind of a magical era.
Yeah.
60s, 70s, and maybe I think once you get in the 80s, you started to get the electronic stuff. It was like maybe it was a sweet spot where technology improved to a certain point, but you still needed to be heavily involved in the creation process. Maybe like now, for example, music, it's too easy to create by yourself. But back then, you started to have good recording equipment. You could do
Everything was still almost acoustic.
It was post World War II, so you started to finally have some financial stability in the West.
And then when we hit 80s, Dirty Dancing and stuff.
There's something too, I think, about like, it's really beautiful to think that people would have to occupy themselves with things. Nowadays, you always have something to look at.
Yeah.
You know? But when you think about people who used to read so many books, it's what else did you have to do?
And daily papers.
Or you'd go out to, you'd go out to have fun.
A lot of intake of words. Nostalgic. Yeah.
So.
Okay, Edison. Okay, we have to thank you for joining us, but it's way past 1:30, so we have to wrap it up.
Is there
okay.
anything
Glad
else?
to be on show.
Anything else that you want to share?
I don't know. Maybe next time be on show. I will. I don't know.
Bring along your music.
Bring along
your music.
I can do that.
Yeah. Would you play your guitar for us?
Well,
that could be fun.
Of course, he has to.
But no pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
I can bring my Marshall amp. Yeah.
The way you add no pressure, that's very political and very Taiwanese.
Probably also giving you pressure. But I do think that'd be fun. The podcast last week on Friday, the person I had on was showing off the different drag queen costume stuff that he's
All
designed.
right.
Yeah, so
I missed that because I had to go to Taoyuan for department promotion, but I heard I missed a lot. But then later on, I upload everything onto YouTube.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that could really help with this podcast because students, especially if we can, I'll try to get here even earlier. 12 until 1 is when you really start seeing people.
But today is certainly not a good day. See, we have this hazy film over the glass. Yeah. Okay, let's look for...
I can bring up my band's name.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Look forward
my band's
to
name
some
is
other night.
Edison's Experience.
That would be very friendly to memory.
You could even bring your whole band out.
Yeah.
Do they want to come?
Oh, I can explain.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Bring them out. How many of you all are there?
3.
3.
We're trial.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
3 is a good number.
We'll have to hear them. We'll see who these people are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just chat. Is their English any good, or we need to keep it in Chinese?
I don't think so.
Yeah. We could do a bilingual podcast.
We'll see about that. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Edison.
Thank you, Edison.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you.
And thanks again to 中道组长's crew.
It was fantastic. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Edison, sorry, I think that I took over too much of the podcast.
Nah, it's all good.
Are you gonna bring your guitar next time? Then that can be really fun.
I can do that.
Are you willing to play a lot? I think that'd be fun for the students.
I can play.
Sure. Okay.
I can play a song or two.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Please do.
That would definitely make this a lot.
Please do.
That'd give us.
So bring along your music next time you're here.
So where are you off to now?
I don't know. Hosting around?
No work today.
No work today.
Okay. Oh wow. So the whole day is free.
Yeah.
I have to go back for some chores and then waiting for my 3 o'clock meeting. Meeting.
Who's the meeting with? something meeting because
some infringement upon sexual harassment, okay, among students.
Did it really happen, or is it to prevent it?
I heard it's a grave case, so okay, it happened.
Oh, I know that kind of meeting.
Yeah, but I have no idea about the nature of this meeting this time, okay, today.